Inspiration is a hard thing to think about 30 years ago. I was working in an advertising agency in London, and a client came to me and said, would you launch a product of mine in Dubai? My first reaction was, where's Dubai? And then I found out where I was going, and he said, you're going to fall in love with Dubai. This guy's called Mukesh Patel, and I'm still in contact with him. And he said, you'll fall in love. And I said, no, I love London, I'm building my career. And I did. I came here in 1992. It was very different. It was a desert, but there was an air of possibility, potential, kind of like an entrepreneurial spirit. I visited 3 times with the agency, and I decided to move to Dubai. I knew I was going to live in Dubai, but I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't actually want to get a job. I wanted to start a business. And I'd met an amazing entrepreneur when I had visited Dubai in '92, Obaid Al-Taya, and he owned the Gulf News. And when I'd left school, I had sold classified telesales advertising. Now, for many of you, this is pre-internet. This is when we bought everything by reading the classified newspaper, whether you were selling a car, or you were renting a house, or you were buying goods and services. And I recognized that it wasn't really well sold. And so I persuaded him that I could train his team to sell classified advertising at the Gulf News. And I did, and I got a typewriter. I made a lot of spelling mistakes, and I engaged these ladies to sell classified advertising. And we went from 16 pages to 32 to 64 in 6 months. And my career as a trainer was born. And I'm very lucky that he then took me around many different organizations that he owned, and I started my training business. Look, I think the passion that I started with was based on a quote by Zig Ziglar. If you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And I wanted to build a successful business that lived beyond myself. I didn't want to just deliver training and just be a one-man band. I actually wanted to grow a company. And the inspiration has come from hiring really smart people and learning from them, continually reading, and the fact that people change. The world of work has changed, the world of business has changed, and therefore what we do to develop people has changed. And every time I get a little bit bored, I go out there and find something new, and we bring it into Biz Group, and we start all over again. And my team will be well aware of the journeys where I've come back and needed to refresh by bringing in a new business. So that's where my inspiration has come from. So, look, I think any good business has a clear purpose. And I don't think when we started Biz Group that I knew exactly what that was. It was inside, but I hadn't put a label on it. And we have been able to put that label, enriching lives through learning, in the last kind of 20 years. And what does that mean? It means that every client we work with, every person we train, needs to come out better as a result of that experience. They need to be enriched. And if people can be enriched, particularly in the world of corporate training or team building, or even learning technology, maybe they go home and they're a better husband or a better wife or a better parent. Maybe they get promoted. Maybe they can grow their career. Or maybe, like many bizzers that have worked in the company, they go on to become entrepreneurs of their own. And so how we enrich lives through learning and through possibility, for me, is the root cause why I still love coming into work every single day. "30 years in business is a long time, but 30 years have been amazing, particularly in this country, the United Arab Emirates. They have done an incredible job in the last 30 years, and it's been an honor to actually watch it grow and change around me. The leadership of the country has been an inspiration. They've been moving so fast. We've had to keep moving so fast in order to be able to keep up with everybody. New technology, changing industries around us, and just the pace of business here. And I see in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that we're going to go through the same wave again. It's already happening, maybe even faster. I'm really excited about how Biz Group has grown in the last 30 years in the UAE, but I'm even more excited about how the regional growth, and particularly in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, how we see that growth in the next 30 years. Look, I think it's really exciting to be an entrepreneur, but it's also equally scary. I started out employee number one. I was fairly quick to actually hire Justine Cook, who was employee number two. And then, in fact, we actually have one of the team members that was with us way back at the beginning, Luke Tuffin, who's now over 20 years, I think 29 years in Biz Group, so he was just behind me. What are the accomplishments? I think the first thing is finding great people and then letting them be great. I've not always been good at that because I needed to read a book by Liz Wiseman to give me some advice on how I could do it better, but really finding people and then figuring out where we take the business based on the skills and talents that we have in the organisation. Some of the milestones for me, 2004, I was in the office, I got a phone call from a gentleman that was at a hotel exhibition. He represented a company called Catalyst, and he said, I'm at this exhibition, I'm reading a magazine, and you've got an article in it, and it looks like you're doing some team building, can we have a conversation? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, it's serendipity, isn't it? When these things happen where you don't even know this company exists. And that was the start of a very long relationship with Catalyst Global, where we became the Middle East representative for their team building brand. So that was huge for me. I didn't even know those companies existed. Other big milestones was adding our first international product with Liz Wiseman, multipliers. Adding Exonify, I went to the ATD conference and I walked into one of 300 workshops that you could attend. And I sat in this room and I sat next to this guy and he was just wearing normal business attire. And I watched this presentation and I thought, wow, this technology is amazing. It can measure learning, it can do all of these things. And I kept saying to him, this is awesome, isn't it? As though he were just another delegate. Anyway, he was one of the junior members of Exonify, although he didn't tell me. And he kept encouraging my questions. And in the end, he said, would you like to meet the owners? So I said, sure. And then I realized he worked for the company. But I went up and met Carol and Christine, and it was the start of an amazing experience. And it was the first learning technology that we brought into Biz Group. So those for me would probably be those three big highlights. The first time we brought in an additional business, Catalyst. The next time we brought in international IP, and then that was just the start. Multipliers, crucial learning and crucial conversations and think on your feet. And then we brought in Exonify as technology. So big milestones. There were also some big failures as well. We'll talk about those later. Staying current in this industry is, it's a discipline. It's something you have to do on a regular basis. Luckily for me, I love doing it. It's not a hardship. I love reading. I'm a ferocious reader of books, but also podcasts these days, and going to conferences. COVID meant we skipped a couple of years of attending international conferences. We're back doing it again in 2023, and that for me is sort of immersing ourselves in what's happening in the rest of the world and seeing what problems companies are solving, but also seeing what our competitors are doing. I find that fascinating. And so staying current for me has been a pleasure, but actually a critical part of how we've grown. And then sharing that with all of our clients through conversations or through trends events or through blogs, that for me is one of the most engaging parts of running Biz Group. Another really big milestone was when we found Jensen 8 and Jenna Davidson's amazing invention of a multiplayer virtual reality experience. This really catapulted us into the future. It was even ahead of the world talking about metaverse. And we found this back in 2019 and built the first virtual reality leadership lab in Dubai. I'm really excited about this. It's a journey. VR is a long way to go before it becomes something that perhaps is easy and accessible to everybody in the learning environment. But once again, I'm very proud. We were first, and it is an incredible experience. So in 30 years, there's been a lot of highs, but there's also been a lot of failures, and you need those. If you don't have those, you don't grow, you don't figure things out. One of my classics was we started a magazine called Human Assets. There wasn't a publication in the region that would tell people about what was happening in the world of HR and learning and development. And so I thought, let's start one. It's not my core though, and we did a good job. Maybe we did 18 months. It lost money. But interestingly, it was the magazine that Catalyst Global found us through. So even though that didn't work, perhaps it had a purpose of a different nature. Other things I would say to entrepreneurs who are starting businesses, I started with £500. Don't do that. You need cash. Now, I've never been in debt. We've never borrowed a single dirham in Biz Group. It's actually been slow, organic growth, investing every month in the next month and every year in the next year. But in reality, you do need, in today's world, a cash backup in order to run a business. There are downturns, there are COVIDs, there are other things like that, and ultimately cash is the oxygen that allows you to build your dream as an entrepreneur. So although I might be inspiring with where I started, don't do that. Have a little bit of a backup. That would be my number one suggestion. If I were going to take my second, it's find smart people. If you've got the oxygen to grow a business with cash, and then you've got smart people that want to take the business somewhere, then it's fun, then it's engaging. And then let them be smart so that they can actually add their value to the organization. It's really hard as an entrepreneur. When you're small, you know everything. You know you're involved in everything. Your fingers are in every part of the business, every client deal. And as you scale, you need to let go and let people do the amazing job that you brought them on board to do. So that would be my second thing. Hire smart people and then allow them to be smart. I think the third thing you need to be able to have to scale a business is to really have clarity of vision and transparently share that with the team. It's one thing having it here. It's a completely different thing making sure that everybody understands it. They say great strategy is 1% vision and 99% alignment.